The Grand Assembly Hall floated between the stars like a crystal palace. Inside, 10,000 alien beings watched a single human standing alone in a clear sphere. The sphere hung in the air above them all, making the human look small. But Ambassador Marcus Webb did not look afraid. He stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the council with calm eyes. High Chancellor Vren slammed 6 arms against his podium. He was huge, covered in dark scales, and his voice boomed across the massive hall. "You say you come from Earth, a planet that does not exist in any of our maps, a species that only children hear about in old stories. We think you are lying?" Marcus looked at the alien leader without blinking. "I represent humanity. Whether you believe we exist does not matter to me. I am here anyway." Voices filled the chamber. Thousands of aliens spoke at once. No one had ever talked to the council this way. Not in 200 years of peace. Vren continued, his voice getting louder. "You stand accused of breaking 17 laws. You have taken planets in the Outer Rim that belong to the council. You destroyed our military ships. And worst of all, you pretend to be humans. The humans are just myths. They do not exist." Marcus smiled just a little. "I stand accused of existing. That seems to be my biggest crime." Counselor Thera spoke next. She was made of pure light contained in a special shell. Her voice sounded like breaking glass. "The old stories say humans were warriors from the dark times. Before the council brought peace to the galaxy, they say humans could survive anywhere. They never surrendered. They turned every battle into a graveyard. We ended that age. We destroyed such chaos." Marcus shook his head slowly. "You did not destroy us. You destroyed your competition. We simply waited. We watched. We learned. The chamber exploded with noise. Impossible. Humans were just stories. Old propaganda. Ancient history that meant nothing now." Vren slammed his arms down again. "Silence! You will show us proof. Give us your planet codes. Give us your genetic data. Give us something real, or we will declare you an enemy and eliminate you." Marcus reached slowly into his jacket. Every weapon in the hall pointed at him. Lights appeared on his sphere. He pulled out a small data chip and held it up. "This has everything. The location of Earth, how many humans exist, our military numbers, our answer to your treaties." He paused and looked around the chamber. "Warning! You will not like what you read." The chip transferred its data. Screens around the chamber came to life. Numbers began appearing. Population numbers, fleet sizes, technology ratings. The numbers kept climbing higher and higher. Population, 47 billion across 200 worlds. Fleet strength, more ships than any single council race had ever built. Technology, multiple entries marked unknown. Technology from before the council existed. The chamber became completely silent. 10,000 aliens stared at the screens in shock. Vren's translator struggled to work. His words came out broken. "This is fake. You made this up to scare us." Marcus looked at him directly. "Test it. Send a probe to any location I gave you. Go ahead. We will wait." Thera's light flickered like a candle in wind. "If this data is real, then humanity has been building in our space for centuries. You have fleets, colonies, and we never saw you? You stopped looking for us," Marcus said simply. "After you decided we were extinct, you never searched again. It is easy to hide when your enemy thinks you are already dead." The council voted to send probes to verify the coordinates. Marcus was taken to special quarters. He was still a prisoner, but now they were afraid to kill him. While he waited, Marcus thought about how humanity survived. 300 years ago, humans made first contact with the council. It went badly. Very badly. The council races united against Earth. They attacked human colonies. They destroyed human ships. They thought they had won. They thought humanity was finished. But Earth survived. The humans who remained made a decision. They would go dark. Completely dark. They turned off every transmitter. They avoided all trade routes. They spent 3 centuries building in the empty spaces between stars. Every human colony was hidden. Every human ship looked like space debris or asteroids. They became ghosts on purpose. In the council chambers, factions began forming. The Korath Empire wanted war immediately. The Syndicate wanted to talk and make deals. The Preservation Compact wanted to understand how they missed an entire civilization growing under their noses. 3 days passed. The first probe reached Earth's coordinates. The signal stopped transmitting. The Council sent a backup probe. When it arrived, it sent one final transmission before it too went silent. The transmission showed Earth. The planet was there, real, solid, blue and green and beautiful. But it was not defenseless. The space above Earth glittered with thousands of lights, orbital stations, defense platforms, hundreds of ships moving in perfect formation. The Council realized they were not dealing with refugees. They were not dealing with imposters. They were dealing with a civilization that had spent 300 years preparing for exactly this moment, preparing for the day when they would reveal themselves again. Marcus stood in his quarters and watched the Council's reaction on a hidden monitor. He saw their fear. He saw their anger. He saw their confusion. Good. Fear and confusion could lead to mistakes. And mistakes could lead to war. He did not want war, but he was ready for it. Humanity was ready for it. They had been ready for 300 years. 3 days after the probes confirmed Earth existed, Marcus was called back to the Council chamber. But something had changed. The chamber felt different. Cold. Half the seats were empty. The Korath Empire had mobilized its fleets. The Syndicate had closed its borders. Smaller races were trying to decide which side would let them survive. The unity of the Council was breaking apart. Counselor Thera spoke first. Her light was dim like a dying star. "You have thrown the galaxy into chaos." Marcus stood calm as always. "No, you did that when you built your council on one idea. The idea that humans were too dangerous to exist. We are just the consequences of your own lies coming back." Vren stood, his massive form shaking with rage. "The Korath Empire declares humanity a hostile force. You will surrender completely or be destroyed. High General Cross volunteers to lead the attack. His fleet will be the largest military force in 200 years. Marcus said nothing. He just watched, but not all the Council agreed. The Syndicate sent secret messengers to Marcus. They offered trade agreements, recognition, support against Korath expansion. Marcus refused to commit to anything. He was waiting. Strange things began happening across the galaxy. Ships vanished without explanation. Automated stations stopped responding. Strange signals appeared and disappeared. Some races thought humans were infiltrating. Others believed the Korath were creating false attacks to justify war. Then Marcus played another card. He introduced Commander Elena Voss through a quantum link. She appeared in the chamber like a ghost standing next to Marcus. She wore a dark uniform with no decorations. Her eyes were cold and sharp. "Humanity is willing to negotiate," Elena stated clearly. "We want our place in this galaxy, but we will not disarm. We will not retreat to Earth. We will not submit to threats. If the Council wants peace, we are offering it once. Only once. If you want war," she smiled without any warmth, "then you will learn why your ancestors tried so hard to make sure we never existed." The Council erupted in argument. Some wanted to accept. Some wanted to fight. Some wanted to run and hide. Then came the demonstration that terrified everyone. A Korath scout fleet entered human territory to gather intelligence. 12 military vessels, heavily armed and ready for battle. They found a human colony ship. Just one. Alone. Apparently defenseless. The Korath captain sent a message. "Surrender your vessel immediately," the colony ship captain responded calmly. "You have 5 seconds to turn around or be destroyed." The Korath laughed. One colony ship against 12 warships. It was ridiculous. The colony ship opened fire. But the weapons were not anything the Council recognized. They were old, ancient, the kind of technology the Council banned centuries ago because it was too effective. Too brutal, too deadly. In less than 2 minutes, 11 Korath ships went dark. Dead in space, crews killed instantly. The 12th ship was left functional, on purpose. As a messenger, the colony ship captain sent one final message. "This is what our civilians carry for protection. Imagine what our military can do." The recording played in the Council chamber. Every delegate watched in complete silence. Their supposedly superior technology had been destroyed by a civilian transport vessel, a cargo ship, not even a military ship. Vren finally spoke, his voice quiet for the first time. "How? How did you keep weapons from before the Council existed?" Marcus answered simply. "We invented most of it. The Council did not ban ancient weapons. You banned human weapons. You just forgot where they came from. The revelation shook the chamber. The old weapons, the ancient technology that made the council form in the first place. It was all human. Every terrifying weapon, every brutal tool of war. Humanity created it all. But the Korath Empire did not back down. High General Cross declared that the attack proved humans were dangerous. He said it proved the council was right to try to eliminate them 300 years ago. He gathered his fleet. 3,000 warships, backed by 24 races who still believed in council military power. Marcus watched from his quarters as the fleet assembled. 3,000 ships, the largest military force in 2 centuries, all heading toward human space, all ready to destroy every human colony they could find. Elena appeared on his screen. The fleet is moving. Cross is bringing everything he has. I know, Marcus said quietly. Are we ready? Marcus looked at her through the screen. We have been ready for 300 years. The question is whether they are ready for us. Elena nodded. The patrol fleet is moving into position. Epsilon Sector will be the first contact point. How many ships do we have there? 300. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. 300 against 3,000. 10 to 1. Bad odds. Can we win? Elena smiled. We do not need to win. We just need to make them regret coming. The screen went dark. Marcus stood alone in his quarters, looking out at the council chamber in the distance. He had given them a choice. Accept humanity or fight humanity. They chose to fight. Now they would learn what that choice meant. They would learn why the old stories warned about humans. They would learn why their ancestors tried to destroy Earth completely. Because humans were not just warriors. They were survivors. And survivors did whatever it took to keep surviving. The Korath fleet departed for human space. 3,000 warships moving through the dark like a metal storm. High General Cross stood on his flagship bridge, confident and ready. He had fought 30 campaigns. He had never lost. He did not know that humans did not fight fair. They did not fight with honor. They fought to win. And they had spent 300 years learning how to win against impossible odds. The war was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Korath Armada appeared in the Epsilon sector like a storm of metal and fire. 3,000 warships, enough firepower to destroy entire planets. High General Cross expected to find human defenses, fortifications, maybe desperate calls for mercy. Instead, they found nothing. Empty space, 36 human colonies visible on scanners, but not a single military ship anywhere. They are hiding, his tactical officer suggested. Or running away, another officer added. Cross did not believe either option. He had studied what little data existed about human tactics from the ancient wars. Humans did not hide. They did not run. They ambushed, he was right. The Korath fleet moved forward cautiously. Then their sensors detected something. Not ships, mines, thousands of them, floating through space in patterns that looked random but were not. As the Korath fleet began clearing the mines, the colonies activated. What the Council thought were civilian stations suddenly bristled with weapons. They were not colonies at all. They were military bases disguised as civilian settlements. The battle began. But it was unlike anything the Council races had experienced in 200 years of peace. The humans did not fight with honor. They did not line up in formations. They fought with cold, ruthless efficiency. Human ships emerged from everywhere. Behind planets, inside asteroid fields, from stealth positions in the outer dark where sensors could not reach. They attacked fast, hit hard, and disappeared before return fire could connect. The Korath had superior numbers. 3,000 ships against 300. But numbers meant nothing when they could not pin down an enemy. Every time they fired, the humans were already gone. Back at the council chambers, Marcus watched battle reports through encrypted streams. Counselor Thera and other moderates visited his quarters. Call them off, Thera pleaded. The Korath are not your only enemy. If you humiliate their empire, you make peace impossible. I cannot give orders, Marcus replied truthfully. I am an ambassador. Our military does not answer to me. Even if they did, I am your prisoner here. The situation is out of my control. Ambassador Roth of the Preservation Compact stepped forward. Then why send a diplomat if you planned war? Marcus turned to face them. I am here to give you a choice. We did not want this. We stayed hidden for 3 centuries because we remembered what happened last time. But the Council would not accept peaceful expansion. You demanded we submit or die. Now you see what happens when humans fight back. He pulled up a tactical display on a screen. Right now in Epsilon Sector, Cross is learning something. His 3,000 ships are fighting about 300 human vessels. And he is losing. The Council representatives watched in real time. The battle unfolded on the screens. The humans were outnumbered 10-1, but their kill ratio was devastating. For every human ship destroyed, 5 Korath vessels went dark. Cross saw his fleet breaking apart. He saw his carefully planned formations destroyed by enemies he could not catch. He made a decision, a terrible decision that would echo across the galaxy. He ordered weapons of mass destruction deployed against the human colonies. If he could not defeat their ships, he would eliminate their civilians. He would break their will to fight. The moment the order was given, something changed in human strategy. The hit-and-run attacks stopped instantly. Every human vessel in the sector turned toward the Korath flagship. Commander Elena Voss's voice broadcast across all frequencies. Every ship in the sector heard it. You targeted civilians. You just made this personal. What followed was not a battle. It was a massacre. The human fleet no longer cared about tactics, no longer cared about preserving their own numbers. They threw everything at the Korath command structure. They did not care about winning anymore. They cared about making sure Cross did not survive to give that order again. Human ships rammed Korath vessels. They detonated their own reactors inside enemy formations. They sacrificed themselves to destroy command ships. It was fury unleashed, pure and terrible. The Korath flagship broke apart under sustained fire. Cross died on his bridge, still giving orders that no one could follow anymore. His fleet scattered. 3,000 ships entered Epsilon Sector. Fewer than 800 escaped. Marcus watched the end of the battle in silence. Thera stood beside him, her light dim with shock. "You destroyed them," she whispered. "They destroyed themselves," Marcus corrected. "They targeted civilians. Every human knows what that means. It means no mercy. It means total war." "This will change everything," Roth said quietly. Marcus nodded. "That is why I came. To make sure it changed in the right direction." Across the galaxy, recordings of the battle played on every world. The Council races watched. They saw the Korath Armada destroyed. They saw the species that was supposed to be extinct fighting with terrifying power. They saw humanity unleashed. Some races were horrified. Some were impressed. Some began making plans to ally with humanity before it was too late. The Korath Empire fractured internally. Military leaders blamed civilian government for the disaster. Some Korath colonies started secret negotiations with nearby human settlements. They were desperate to avoid becoming the next battlefield. The Syndicate openly broke with the Council. They recognized Earth as a sovereign power. They offered full diplomatic relations. A dozen smaller races followed their lead. They calculated that human trade and protection were worth more than Council membership. Vren stood before the Council in disgrace. His empire's fleet was destroyed. His general was dead. And worst of all, he had been wrong. Humanity was not a myth. They were not imposters. They were real, and they were terrifying. Marcus was summoned back to the chamber, but this time everything was different. The power had shifted. He was no longer in the prisoner sphere. He stood on the main floor as an equal. The galaxy had changed. The old order was breaking, and humanity, the species that should have stayed extinct, was at the center of it all. The ghosts were real. The legends were true. And now everyone knew it. The council chamber was chaos. Delegates shouted at each other across the massive hall. The Korath Empire, humiliated and devastated, demanded full galactic mobilization against humanity. 20 other races refused. They wanted negotiation, peace, survival at any cost. Marcus stood on the main floor now, not in the prisoner sphere. He was no longer a captive. He was an equal. The power had shifted. Vren spoke, his voice heavy with barely controlled rage. You have proven you can kill. You can destroy. That does not make you civilized. That makes you exactly what the old warning said. Barbaric monsters who should have stayed dead. Marcus looked at him calmly. We defended ourselves. Cross-targeted civilians. What happened to his fleet was justice, not barbarism. The galaxy was fracturing. The Korath Empire was breaking apart internally. Military factions blamed civilian leaders. Some Korath colonies were making secret peace deals with human settlements. They wanted to survive. The Syndicate had already broken with the Council. They recognized Earth officially. They offered full trade and diplomatic relations. Smaller races were following their example. They were choosing sides. The Preservation Compact sent historians to study humanity. They wanted to understand. They dug through ancient archives. They interviewed survivors of the first human wars, and they uncovered the truth. 3,000 years ago, humans were not just another spacefaring race. They were the dominant military power in this entire sector. The Council was not formed to bring peace. It was formed to contain humanity, to stop human expansion at any cost. When early human exploration became aggressive, the Council races united. They fought a devastating war. They won through sheer numbers, hundreds of races against one. They destroyed human colonies. They bombarded Earth's cities. They thought they had destroyed human civilization entirely, but they had only destroyed humanity's first wave. Earth survived. Humanity survived. And they learned. They learned to hide. They learned patience. They learned to wait for the right moment. Thera came to Marcus in private. "We need to talk, away from the Council." They met in a secure room, just the two of them. Thera's light pulsed nervously. "Tell me the truth," she said. "Why did you really come here?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he decided to trust her. 3 months before I arrived, the Korath attacked us. They destroyed a human research station, killed everyone, 200 scientists. They claimed it was a derelict ancient facility. They did not know we existed. He pulled up data on a portable screen. We investigated. We found evidence the Korath were planning to expand into 17 systems. All of them have hidden human colonies. They would have discovered us eventually. Then they would have attacked. Thera's light dimmed. So you could have struck first, destroyed the Korath before they knew you existed. Yes, Marcus admitted. We had the capability. We could have crippled their empire in a first strike, but that would have started a galactic war. We might win militarily, but lose politically. No one would trust us. Everyone would fear us. So you came here instead, Thera said slowly, to reveal yourself on your terms. I came to force the Council, to acknowledge us before the Korath could manufacture a reason to destroy us. I gave you a choice. Accept reality or deny it. Cross chose denial. That is on him, not me. Thera was silent for a long time. You manipulated us. I gave you options. You made your choices. A week after the battle, Earth sent a formal proposal to the Council. The terms were clear. Humanity would join as a full member with veto power. All human colonies would be recognized. The Council would revise its history to acknowledge the truth about the human wars. Any race that attacked human space would face immediate collective response. In exchange, humanity would share some technology. They would provide military assistance against external threats. They would participate in galactic trade and diplomacy. The vote was called. The chamber filled with tension. Each race cast their decision. The results appeared on the main screen. Vren voted no. We will not reward violence with power, but one by one, others voted yes. The Syndicate voted yes immediately. The Preservation Compact voted yes. Minor races who saw humanity as protection against larger powers voted yes. Even some Korath representatives, desperate to salvage something, voted yes. The final count appeared. 6,047 votes in favor, 3,231 against, 1,044 abstaining. Humanity was officially recognized as a council member. Marcus allowed himself a small, genuine smile. Thank you. I promise you will not regret this. Vren stood, his massive frame shaking. This is not over, human. You may have your seat. But you have made enemies who will never forget. Your legends say humans are survivors. We shall see how you survive what comes next. Marcus wanted to respond, but something stopped him. A ping on his communicator. An urgent alert. He looked down at the small device and his expression changed. "What is it?" Thera asked, seeing his concern. Marcus looked up at the chamber, at all the alien delegates celebrating or mourning the vote. Long-range sensors just detected something at the galaxy's edge. Something massive. Something old. "What kind of something?" Vren demanded. Marcus pulled up the sensor data on the main screens. Every delegate in the chamber saw it. A fleet, approaching from beyond the spiral arm, from the dark space where no known civilization existed. The energy signatures were unusual, different, ancient. Then the identification came through. The ships matched old council designs, vessels that had not been seen in 3,000 years. Before the council even formed, they were human ships. Marcus stared at the screen in shock. "That is impossible. Those are not ours. We do not have ships out there." But the data did not lie. 7,000 vessels, all human design, all heading toward council space, all broadcasting human identification codes. Thera's light flickered in confusion. "You said you revealed everything. You said the data you gave us was complete." "It was," Marcus insisted. "This is not us. This is something else. Someone else." A message came through, audio only, a human voice speaking clear standard language. "This is Admiral James Kowalski of the Second Fleet. We represent the portion of humanity that chose to explore rather than hide. We have spent 300 years learning what lies beyond your borders, and we have come home to share what we discovered." The chamber erupted. The council had just accepted one human fleet. Now another appeared, larger, more powerful, and completely unexpected. Marcus stood frozen, staring at the screens. The Second Fleet. He had heard stories, rumors, old family legends about humans who left Earth before the first wars, who went out into the unknown and never came back. Apparently, the legends were true, and they were coming home. 6 weeks passed. The galaxy struggled to adjust to the new reality. Human diplomats walked the halls of the council. Human trade ships visited alien ports. It was awkward, strange, but it was happening. Then the signals started. Every deep space sensor, human and alien alike, detected the same thing. A massive fleet approaching from the galactic edge, from the dark space beyond the spiral arm, where nothing lived. When the ships got closer, identification finally came through. The vessels were ancient council designs, ships that had not existed for 3,000 years, but the codes they broadcast were human. Admiral James Kowalski led the Second Fleet into council space like a returning king. 7,000 warships arranged themselves around Earth in perfect formation, a steel crown for humanity's homeworld. Each ship was larger and more advanced than anything in the patrol fleet that had fought the Korath. Marcus was as shocked as everyone else. "They were not supposed to reveal themselves yet," he said quietly, watching the massive deployment. Admiral Kowalski's message broadcast on every channel across the galaxy. "I am Admiral James Kowalski of the Second Fleet. We represent the humans who chose to explore rather than hide. We have spent 300 years learning what lies beyond your borders, and we have come home to share what we found." The council chamber erupted in panic and confusion. They had just accepted one human faction. Now another appeared, larger, more powerful, and nobody knew what they wanted. What the Second Fleet discovered was terrifying. The council was not alone in the galaxy. Beyond the spiral arm, other powers existed, ancient, vast, not remotely friendly. The council's 2 centuries of peace were not because of diplomatic success. It was because these external threats had not noticed them yet, but they were noticing now. One power, called the Conglomerate, had begun probing council space. They saw a fragmented civilization of thousands of races with no unity. Easy prey. Kowalski presented evidence to the council, data, recordings, maps. 3 conglomerate scout ships entered the galactic rim 4 months ago. They mapped your defenses. They cataloged your military strength. They returned to their space. Based on their history with other galaxies, invasion will begin within 2 years. The council split again. Some believed it was another human trick. Others recognized the data was real and panicked. Vren stood, his voice cutting through the noise. How convenient. You discover a threat just as you join the council. How convenient that this threat justifies your massive fleet being here. Marcus stepped forward. You want to know the real reason we stayed hidden for 300 years? It was not just fear of the council. It was preparation for this. Our ancestors fought you and disappeared. They built the second fleet in the dark because they knew something the council forgot. Peace is not natural. Peace is what you build while preparing for the next war. The revelation fractured the council further. Some races wanted to surrender to the conglomerate before fighting started. Others wanted to fortify their borders and hope they were not targeted. A few saw an opportunity. If they could deliver the human fleet to the conglomerate as a prize, maybe they would be spared. Someone tried to assassinate Marcus. The attack came at night. Professional killers hired by an unknown faction. They almost succeeded. Marcus survived, but Commander Elena Voss did not. She died protecting him. Taking a blade meant for his throat. Her death changed everything. The humans who wanted peace, who wanted integration, who wanted to be part of the galactic community. They saw Elena die for council ideals while half the council still rejected them. Admiral Kowalski issued an ultimatum. His voice was cold as space. Commander Voss died defending this council's principles, even though half of you still think we should not exist. Humanity will defend council space against the conglomerate, but we will not do it under your command. We will not sacrifice our people for races that sabotage us. He paused, letting the words sink in. You have 2 choices. Accept human leadership in the coming war or face the conglomerate alone. You have 72 hours to decide. The vote was more difficult than humanity's admission. For 48 hours straight, the council debated. Factions formed and dissolved. Secret deals were made and broken. The old powers resisted. The new powers pushed for change. In the end, it was the smallest races that decided. The ones with no military. The ones who survived by being useful to larger neighbors. They voted to accept human command because they had no other option. They would die without protection. The final vote came through. Humanity would lead the Unified Defense Force. The Second Fleet would form its core. Council forces would support. Command structure would be joint, but final authority in combat belonged to human admirals. Vren voted no. His voice was bitter. If you fail, humanity's legends will end here, forever. Marcus looked at him. He was tired. Grieving Elena, worried about what came next. If we fail, there will be no one left to tell any legends. The Unified Defense Force began organizing. Human vessels worked alongside former enemies. Species that had tried to kill each other weeks ago now trained together. Defensive positions were built and fortified. Supply lines established. The galaxy prepared for war. Marcus stood on the observation deck of the new council flagship. A human-designed vessel built with input from a dozen races. It was a symbol, a promise, a hope that maybe they could work together. Thera joined him. Her light was steady now, determined. Do you think we can win? Marcus was quiet for a moment. I think we can survive. Humans have always been good at surviving, and now you are learning from us. He looked out at the assembled fleet. 7,000 human ships. 20,000 council vessels, all working together, all unified for the first time in galactic history. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. The legends say humans were dangerous, Marcus said softly. They say we were monsters from the Dark Age who nearly destroyed the galaxy. But the legends were wrong about one thing. What? Thera asked. We were not trying to conquer you. We were trying to warn you, because we had seen what was out there, beyond the light, in the dark between galaxies. And now that darkness is coming here. The fleet hung in space like a wall of metal and determination, a barrier between civilization and chaos. between order and destruction, between life and extinction. On the edge of long-range sensors, barely visible, the first conglomerate vessels entered council space. They came slowly, carefully, studying their prey. Marcus watched them approach. He thought about Elena, about all the humans who died to get here, about the 300 years of hiding and planning and preparing. It all came down to this moment. The legends said humans were extinct, he whispered. The humans said legends have consequences. The galaxy is about to learn what happens when myths become reality. The conglomerate fleet grew closer. The unified defense force prepared to meet them. And somewhere on Earth, in the archives where humanity kept its oldest memories, a warning carved 3,000 years ago still remained. We are not the monsters in the dark. We are the light that keeps the monsters away, and we will burn forever if we must. The war was beginning, the real war, not against each other, but against something far worse. And humanity, the species that refused to die, stood at the front, ready, determined, unbreakable. The sky filled with their warships, and the galaxy would never be the same again.